When was the last time you've ever been out of the country? Or ever, in fact. You hear about these places to go and sights to see. Well, have you ever dug deeper into the history of these places? Today, I'm going to be talking about the history of some Italian sites, including the Colosseum, the Pantheon, the Sistine Chapel, the Galleria Borghese, and Pompeii. As I mentioned previously, the first that I'm going to discuss is the Colosseum, where Roman gladiatorial games took place. The webpage titled Colosseum, dated 2009, provided by History.com editors, mentions its origin just east of the Roman Forum, and it was built around 70-72 AD. Now, it was originally called the Flavian Amphitheater for when Emperor Vespasian gifted it to the Roman people during the Flavian dynasty. According to History.com editors, it stood as the largest amphitheater in the Roman world by 620 feet by 513 feet. Made from mostly stone and concrete, the Colosseum consisted of 3 stories with arches for entrances and Roman numerals on top of each one. When I went to Italy and toured the Colosseum, the tour guide told us that this is how they knew that they sold tickets at these events. The events were created by Domitian, in effect to please the Roman population after the eruption of Vesuvius. The tour guide explained that it was 100 days of gladiatorial games, animal hunts, and public executions, which lasted the whole entire day. The gladiators that participated were always slaves or criminals, but they were never going out there unprepared. They would start at smaller schools and train and fight there before they would go out and fight in the Colosseum. Another quite large Roman building I'm going to be talking about today is the Pantheon. History.com editors explain from the webpage titled Pantheon, dated 2018, that the first one was burned down in a fire in 80 AD, then was rebuilt by Emperor Domitian, only to be burned down again in 110 AD. There's a lot of uncertainty of the builder and the origins of the modern-day Pantheon, but the ancient history of the original can give us some clues into what it was used for. To start, the structure's name derived from the Greek word pan, meaning all, and theos, meaning gods. It is thought that it was originally used as a Roman temple for gods, but in 609, Pope Boniface IV got permission to convert it into a Christian church. Called the Sancta Maria ad Martius in Latin, the Pantheon stood tall due to this transition, and it now had the resources to repair and maintain it. The modern-day Pantheon consists of 3 sections: a portico with granite columns, a massive domed rotunda, and a rectangular area connecting the other 2 sections. Its architecture has had much influence on many buildings, including Thomas Jefferson's Monticello, the State Capitol building, or the U.S. Capitol building, and many other state capitol buildings. In addition, before the Pantheon became a tourist attraction, it was used as a burial place for famous Renaissance figures, including Raphael and Italian monarchs. Now, people visit there to see the architecture, and it is still used as a Catholic church, and they still hold Catholic Mass there. Not built out of so much stone, but nonetheless intensely detailed, is the Sistine Chapel, another site located in Vatican City, right outside of Rome. In the summer of 1986 issue of Renaissance Quarterly, in an article titled Friar Sixtus IV and the Sistine Chapel, author Rona Goffin explains the origins of the Sistine Chapel, named after Pope Sixtus IV. Constructed between 1475 and 1481, it was an attempt to win over the conventual Franciscans, a Catholic group of males founded by St. Francis of Assisi, and to win the canonization of St. Bonaventure. The walls and ceilings are covered in paintings depicting the Old and the New Testament from the Bible. A lot of the original paintings, including the Assumption, the Nativity, and Moses in the bulrushes, were destroyed to make room for Michelangelo's painting, The Last Judgment. Multiple painters, including Perugino, Pinturicchio, Sandro Botticelli, Domenico Ghirlandaio, and Cosimo Rosselli, all contributed to the walls of the Sistine Chapel. Moreover, Jamie Katz, in a Smithsonian article titled The Measure of Genius, Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel at 500, dated 2009, talks about the Sistine Chapel ceiling, completed by a Renaissance artist, Michelangelo. He started the fresco in 1509 and finished it in 1512. Katz also mentions that Andrew Graham Dixon, an author and critic who wrote a book analyzing the details of the ceiling, states that while most people think he painted the ceiling on his back, he actually painted it standing up. Lastly, it is still a historic site for Christians, and it is used as the Pope's private chapel. Along with that, the College of Cardinals use it as their chapel to gather and elect the new Pope. The final site located in Rome that I'm going to talk about is the Borghese Gallery, or Galleria Borghese in Italian. From the official Galleria Borghese website, the page titled "The Museum" states it contains ancient sculptures, bas-reliefs, and mosaics from the 15th through the 19th century. There are 20 different rooms where the frescoes are displayed and over 260 paintings on the upper level of the gallery. There are paintings by Raphael and Bellini and sculptures by Gian Lorenzo Bernini and Canova. According to the article Bernini's Borghese's Sculptures, Another View from the Art Bulletin, author Joy Kenseth, dated June 1981, notes Cardinal Scipione Borghese had his villa decorated by Bernini. Bernini, most notably famous for his three-dimensional, picture-like sculptures, displays three of them: the David, the Apollo and Daphne, and Pluto and Persone on the bottom floor of the Borghese. They are set in three different rooms throughout the villa, but originally were set against the walls to prevent seeing the back of the sculptures. The focus points were supposed to be prominent, while the more provocative points, the rear, were supposed to be hidden. The last place I'm going to be talking about is not located in Rome. It is the lost city of Pompeii, along with its nearby coastal city, Herculaneum. Smithsonian Magazine's article, Resurrecting Pompeii, author Doug Stewart, dated February 2006, explained the events of Mount Vesuvius, erupting and destroying the town of Pompeii in 70 AD. Pompeii was a city with a population of 10,000 to 20,000 citizens, living with clothing shops, taverns, brothels, and street vendors. The city thrived with an aqueduct supplying fresh running water throughout the city and even into some private homes. The main thing was the rich soils brought from the volcano, to which them supplied them with food and wine from grapevines. The day of the eruption, it estimated that 80% of the population fled, but around 2,000 citizens stayed. As they hid in their homes, the debris grew thicker and stronger, collapsing roofs and ultimately covering the city. 9 miles from Pompeii housed a smaller yet wealthier city, Herculaneum, that encountered Mount Vesuvius eruption in a different way. The wind pushed the debris to the city at about 50 to 100 miles per hour, and the ones who stayed were basically incinerated. You can visit these cities today and see the homes and streets these people lived and walk on. Nonetheless, Mount Vesuvius is still one of the most active volcanoes, but there are measures now to track any change of the possible chances of an eruption. To conclude, today I talked about the history of Italian sites, including the Colosseum, the Pantheon, the Sistine Chapel, the Galleria Borghese, and Pompeii. Just this past September, I visited all 5 of these places and I learned so much. And since I am Italian, it was so fascinating to learn the history of my people, and I had to do more research.